Oh, hello there. I didn't see you come in.
Hello.
We were just
playing
Rochambeau. I used to always have a joke to start the podcast. I went and I prepared a whole bunch of jokes, and then I forgot all of them. They started running together. I think I almost started one last podcast when I was talking about how I wanted to be a private eye or something. You were waiting for the punchline, but I forgot it, so we just kind of moved on.
Did you really want to be a dick?
Dick Tracy, with my shoe telephone.
No, it's an old name for a private eye.
Yeah, Dick Tracy.
Yeah, but that's why he's called that.
Yeah.
But anyway, alright, so I'm Hatter. This
also
is Holden.
Richard.
Yep.
It's an old name for a Richard.
Yeah, nickname, yeah. Okay.
So if someone's being rude, you could be like, "Oh, you're such a Richard."
You've seen
Johns.
No.
Oh, I thought we were talking about men in tights.
No. You're talking
From now
about
on, all toilets shall be known as Johns.
No, you've seen Breakfast Club, right? Mm-hmm. When the teacher's name is Richard and he goes, "Okay, dick."
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, welcome to the podcast. This is our third episode of Apocrypha, and our very first one that we actually did, rather than just put a placeholder there and say, "Go watch the old videos," because we
Wait, what did we do?
You remember the two movies, the Peter Cushing movies? We'd already described we had already described the original serials.
Right.
Then we went back and we described in one of the side deals, we described the movie. So when we put the Apocrypha stuff in for those two movies, when we decided to make this little deal,
we already talked about
it twice. So we just said, okay, here's placeholders. Go back and watch the old stuff.
That's really funny.
We did that. So this is our third episode.
A 2-minute video.
They're like 5-minute videos. Yeah, they're like 5-10-minute videos.
No, I totally forgot about that. That's a good joke. It took us how long to get to the punchline?
So this is our third episode of Apocrypha, but our first one we're actually going to talk about the story.
So did we just tack those first two onto like heroes and villains, or were they
something
standalone? Okay.
No, I think they were heroes and villains. we were talking about them or something.
Yeah.
Because we watched them and then did heroes and villains. So.
All right, welcome to the first episode of Apocrypha, titled Episode 3 of Apocrypha.
It's Episode 3, but it's the first one we're actually properly doing. Okay.
It's our first Apocrypha episode, talking about the third.
Oh, I think I left the DVD in the other room.
Uh-oh.
Let me go grab it.
Did you leave your phone in the other room?
No, it's right there, but I turned it off.
Oh, okay.
How about yours? Is it on the charger?
It's on the charger.
Okay, good.
Such a police. Fun police.
Okay.
Phone police. You see those little things they have on Amazon? Where it's this little gel cell for your phone. It's supposed to help you focus. You know, people are addicted to their phones.
Yeah.
They set like an hour timer, and it won't let them get their phone.
Okay. It says Wartime Chronicles on the DVD, but that's the whole package. The actual, because it's got some other stuff in here.
Oh, so what was this one called?
Wartime.
Oh, Wartime.
Yeah.
And then Wartime Chronicles is the whole thing.
Well, yeah, but there's just an introduction.
Oh, so the whole thing is just this, and then like a bonus DVD.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's the Chronicles. Is the bonus.
Yeah.
Okay, Wartime and then Chronicles.
Correct. Okay, so anyway, well, this is a fairly overall sophomoric effort. I will give credit to the person who produced this, because they were the first person who successfully went out, got some writers, got an actor from the show, and produced. They're the very first ones to actually produce third-party independent Doctor Who material.
They had writers for this?
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't have guessed. It was not well written.
No, okay.
That's kind of cool. So that was kind of my mindset going into it. I wanted to be real positive. Like, this might not be good, but it was a good thing for Doctor Who.
Correct.
And then I started thinking about, well, you know, this really shows the solidarity of the fandom and the resilience of Whovians.
Yeah.
I mean, the Whoniverse.
Yep. Well, especially when the show's off the air, the two different times, you know.
And that was my next thought. And then I immediately went back on the positive vibes I opened up with, because I was like, well, they didn't really need to come out with this because they still had the official show going. So this was just a really bad third-party thing they put out while the main show was still going on.
Right, but it showed that it could be done, and that the BBC wasn't going to sue them, so this trailblazed the way for all the other ones that are still going on today.
It's still important for Doctor Who. It's less important than I thought it was, because I thought we didn't get till the first third-party stuff until they had canceled the show.
Yeah,
but that's not the case.
Close. This is like 3 years before they canceled.
They saw it going downhill, and they're like, "Well, we might as well start breaking out our own."
Worse.
Except they did. This one. So that's another thing. I was comparing Wartime with, some of the worst Doctor Who episodes you can think of. And at first I was like, Wartime, it holds up. It looks, fairly modern compared to some like the really old, bad reconstructions and stuff. And then I thought, well, that's just because it's 2 decades later. They just technology, that's the only thing that makes it look more modern. It's not like they spent more budget or time on the special effects. It's just that better technology makes it look more modern. So then I started thinking about the writing. I'm like, what if I compare this writing with some of the worst Doctor Who writing? I think this is worse. So I don't think it held up well. But it's important. It's an important milestone.
Yeah, it's like the first female professional hockey player. It's like
proof of concept.
Yeah, it's proof of concept. She sucks. I don't know who the first female professional hockey player was.
Do they have
no clue?
Women's hockey? Is that a thing?
Well, no, but I'm talking about like in the NHL. It was probably done as a stunt, and they may have sucked, but who knows? I don't even know who it is. But it's like you said, proof of concept.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they have like so many women's sports, like women's basketball, women's soccer, baseball. Why don't they have women's hockey?
I think the female version of hockey is roller derby.
Roller derby, that's right. I love roller derby.
Yeah, you don't really get men's roller derby. It's always women's roller derby.
I think roller derby is almost cooler than hockey, because you take out the sticks and the goals and the score. It's just about pushing people over, and that's all anybody likes about hockey anyway.
Yeah. Okay,
it's the best part.
Oh, I am drinking Magma Flame. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking Smirnoff Ice Original Citrus Natural Lemon Lime Flavor Smirnoff. It says Smirnoff twice. I thought this was a hard seltzer, but it's not. It's a premium malt beverage with natural flavors and certified colors. What does that mean? Certified number red food coloring.
Alright. Okay. The basic story behind this is Sergeant Benton, along with a driver, Willis, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, that's the best part, though, is Benton's back.
Yeah.
And that's the only good part.
Okay, so they are transporting what looks to be nuclear waste, or possibly
some
a small bomb.
Nuclear symbol on
a container. And they're transporting this in secret, trying to make sure that they don't lose it or get hijacked or anything. You get to hear the Brigadier very briefly over the radio at the very beginning of this.
So was that his actual voice, or was that someone else?
No, that was him.
That was his.
His name is in the credits, and the voice of.
So they didn't just like take a voice clip; they actually got the real guy to do the voice of.
Yeah,
that's so cool. I didn't catch that at all.
Yeah. So
that's neat.
So they're taking this little nuclear thing, and they're trying to get it from point A to point B, and Sergeant Benton is dealing with some serious shell shock, or what they call it, post-traumatic stress disorder issues for 2 reasons. One, his hand literally was involved in his brother's death when he was really young, 1944 during the war. Mm-hmm. It was an accident, but he was involved kind of scaring or startling his brother. His brother fell off a very tall wall from some ruins. Mm-hmm. And he's got a lot of daddy issues, because after his brother died, then his father went off in the war, right, and he died. So Benton is dealing with both the loss of his brother and the loss of his father, and this all happened in a seemingly short period of time when he was really young.
Mom died at some point, but maybe not really, because she fell and his dad let her fall.
I think that was symbolic and in his head. But
it's hard to... So nothing's really explained. So
nothing.
It's all left up to the viewer's interpretation of what's the context of this? What's the meaning? Is this really happening? Is this in his head?
Correct. And there seems to be
very fuzzy.
There seems to be a conflation between him being a soldier and him as a child playing soldiers with his brother.
Yeah.
And so you see the ghost of his brother or his imagination that haunts him and playing soldiers, and then an actual soldier shows up and shoots Benton, but it was only in his head, and he wakes up back in the day. And then they've got the actor John Levine, who plays Benton, playing himself at certain times as a small child, as he was back then, with the picnic with his family.
Right.
Don't go, Dad, don't go. And at other times, it's played by the actual child.
Yeah.
And I think in many cases it's to show his state of mind. Like when he's like, kids, I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And then his eyes get all big and bug-eyed, and he's like, ready or not, here I come.
Yes.
And I think it's to show his mental state. But what was it you said? His cheese isn't even in the same zip code as the cracker.
Yeah, it was. So that was the thing is you're thinking, what's going on with Benton? He's gone crazy, and like this isn't something that happened recently. This is something that happened when he was a child. So let's surface this, and then you start to see the weird, unexplained stuff start to happen.
Yeah.
So as soon as he leaves the Jeep, the driver kind of gets caught in what looks like some sort of like time distortion.
They've done this before in the actual show during the one where they go to Atlantis. Remember, they slowed down the time stuff outside. I think they did this because Benton should have just said, they needed the time duration to be very short so that the bad guy wouldn't take away the nuclear material. But they needed time for Benton to run around like it was 2 hours. So they put in the time distortion effect because he had to be back to defeat the guy right afterwards.
Why would they even add in the line of, hey, if I'm not back in 10 minutes, leave without me? He could have just been like, hey, don't leave without me.
Well, no, because if the bad guy who's setting up that ambush, right?
Right.
If the bad guy waits an hour to attack after the one guy leaves, it doesn't make any sense. If the bad guy doesn't defeat the driver almost immediately and then take his prize away, it doesn't make any sense. The only way for Benton to be...
because Benton needed to come back.
Right, to save it. The only reason for Benton to be gone a small period of time, but yet have 2 hours to do all that stuff in, which is a whole lot of him running around the ruins of a castle for a good chunk of it, and to have his semi-mental breakdown or whatever, he needed more time than the 10 minutes, but it made no sense otherwise unless it was a brief period. So they used the time dilation and to take care of it.
Still doesn't make sense. That's what's mind-boggling about it is they wrote in a plot hole. And they're like, oh, we'll explain it away by creating another plot hole. It's like, why would the
not so much
bad guy create the time distortion in the first place?
No, the bad guy didn't create the time distortion.
Who did?
It's in Benton's head.
The bad guy's not in Benton's head.
No, the bad guy's not in Benton's head.
So where's the distortion? The distortion can't be in his head.
You could claim that all the time he had to run around and do stuff was all in his head.
Right.
Okay,
so the time distortion... So what was actually 10 minutes should have been like he experienced it as like a few hours, but it's actually only 10 minutes.
Correct.
Which means there's no need for the time distortion edit.
Correct. Okay, but once
if it was all in his head.
Right. Okay. Have you ever?
But it wasn't all in his head.
Okay. Have you ever gone to the dentist and
never
had the gas?
Oh. No, I've never been on the gas. Just the numbing shot.
Yeah. Okay, I asked once for the gas. I was like, let me try this. So they gave me gas.
Nitrous oxide? What is it?
Yeah, nitrous oxide. So I would swear they gave me too much gas.
Yeah?
Okay, and I would swear I was living hours in the gas, right?
Yeah.
It's just
time slowed down.
Yeah, it took forever, and I'm down in there, and I'm like falling through this stuff, and I swear it took hours. But when I came to, it was like 15 seconds.
That's trippy.
It was really trippy. It was like Pink Floyd concert trippy, okay? Really, really, I guess strong pop trippy, whatever. But man, I swear, and that's that same kind of time dilation.
Huh.
Sometimes, if you're really inside your head, for whatever reason,
right,
it can make a short period of time seem like an incredibly long period of time.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they wrote in the whole time distortion edit.
Well, I think it may have been from his point of view. I have no friggin' idea. But it was an annoying effect.
It was a little, jittery.
Disconcerting, yeah.
What else was annoying was we know Benton was in his right state of mind because he was practicing zero gun safety and trigger discipline. So he racks it. It's primed. I imagine he doesn't have it on safety. He's pointing it just anywhere. Every corner he turns. He has his finger on the trigger the whole time, and then in his head, the gun turns into a stick, like when he's a kid playing soldiers.
And he gets rid of it. Gets rid of his gun.
So he has to know, like, either this turned into an actual stick, which is crazy, but it might turn back, or it's just in my head, which is what any rational person. So either way, he goes, and he just drops it. He keeps walking. So of course, it immediately turns back into a gun, which is primed, by the way.
Surprised it didn't go off when he dropped it. Okay, so my theory, which may make this slightly more palatable, is, remember when he goes to, he stops because they're driving by the place where his brother died, and his brother's buried in that cemetery and all that, right? So he goes and he kneels down by what looks to be a piece of an old bomb or pottery or something, and it's got their initials on it, 1944.
Yeah.
And he talks about how they used to play there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, right at the end,
it shows it again.
It shows it again, except this time it's in red, not white.
Right.
And he gets up and he goes back and takes care of the bad guy, okay?
So he was, and he had his gun again.
Yes, I think everything between him kneeling down the first time and him being back the second time was all in his head. Every last little bit of it.
That's a good point. That's a good catch.
That
does make more sense.
And it makes the time that he was gone, because the other guy got attacked right after he left, match.
Yeah, and I never even thought about, like, when did he get his gun back?
Yeah. Oh. This may be slightly better than we thought. Slightly.
No, here's what's still frustrating about that scene specifically, is Benton goes, he has to know that he's not in his right state of mind, because he's seeing things.
Yeah.
And he's, okay, so he's not real rational. So they're on this top secret mission to transport this nuclear thing. And
let me stop and see that.
He's like, that's where my brother was buried. He'll pull over here. And then he gets out. He starts getting super paranoid and hearing grenade explosions. And the driver's like, there was not a grenade. And he's like, I'm going to go check it out.
He says, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, he said, I didn't hear it. Which, if there was a grenade, he would have heard it.
but that's the way it should. You don't correct your superior officer, generally speaking.
Right.
Especially if you're English. It's like, I didn't hear it, sir.
But if you tell me, hey, did you hear that explosion in the other room? I go, I didn't hear it. You'd have to know. Well, if I heard it, you should have. Or maybe it didn't actually happen. Anyway, so right after that, he goes, I'm going to go take a look. If I'm not back in 10 minutes, leave without me.
Yep.
And then he immediately saunters off, takes a nice stroll through the woods, and then kneels down and starts reminiscing about his childhood.
And everything else is in his head.
He's not in a hurry.
No, well, once again, he wasn't there, but maybe a minute or two. All the rest
in reality.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay, so if you are interested in watching everything Doctor Who, which some people are, you will need, for things like this, a region-free DVD player, which I have, and you will need to get this stuff in from the United Kingdom, because that's where it's manufactured.
You will need a VPN. That's all.
I do not know how much of this is on the internet to view, the third-party stuff.
No, we should upload it.
No, this is somebody else's work. Not until it's public domain. Okay.
Wait, so they sell copies of that, right?
Yes, I purchased.
Okay.
Yeah, this whole shelf. This whole shelf is third-party Apocrypha that.
So are they still selling copies of that, or do you know if you can still get all those?
I do not know if you can still get all those. They're still making some new stuff, but there's a couple things that supposedly were going to be released 3 years ago.
Right.
Pandemic happened. Okay, whatever. And it's sitting on the list, and every year it sits on the list in December, and then every year it goes back. The next year it sits on the list in December. The next year it sits on the list in December. The next year it sits... And unfortunately, there's one of these that doesn't work.
Really?
Yeah, this Pro Case Files is the most recent one that has come out that I was able to procure. But it does not play on my player.
And it's animated?
Yeah, and look, it's not even... It's a burn, you know?
Uh-huh.
But it won't play on my player.
Does it say a region lock thing, or does it?
No, because it's a region-free player. You know, these all have the stuff from the UK. But,
yeah, that's what's it.
Yeah,
Did
it's.
They give you a refund for that?
No, by the time I tried to watch it, it had been way too long. And now I'm like, I don't necessarily want to order another one, but I do want to watch that at some point. But
that's so many, man.
All right.
Tweet at them.
Yeah. The funniest part was it came from a place in the UK that Lisa and I ended up visiting.
Oh.
When we took our trip to the UK a couple years ago.
You could have bought it in person.
Well, I could have asked for an exchange.
Yeah.
But forgot about to do it when the time came.
Oh yeah. Who would think about that?
Yeah. It's like, let me find another Doctor Who DVD while we're here. In Southampton or whatever. All right.
So, sorry, were we done? I have one more thing about Wartime.
Yeah.
You're right. It's the struggle. I'm still processing, right? And I'm in this debate of, was this better than I thought, or was it as bad as I thought it was?
Both.
A little bit of both, right?
It's bad, but it's a little more clever than we thought.
Because if you think about it enough, you can start to explain away some of the stuff. But the frustrating part of it is that nothing's explained. It's either just a dead-end, cliffhanger, plot hole, or you just have to figure it out yourself. Because we're not... So some of the stuff you can figure out yourself. You're like, oh, okay, that's cool. That makes sense. But most of it's... So you can kind of suspend your disbelief with Benton and say, well, there's this mysterious villain, and obviously he was having an effect on his psyche. He's probably psionically barraging or whatever.
I don't think it was a villain. I think it was a personal mental breakdown.
Oh, so what? Oh. So what was happening in Benton's head was totally unrelated to the guy with the gun trying to steal the...
Yeah, I think that was a coincidence.
So the reason why I thought it was supposed to be setting up some bigger overarching villain was because the voiceover in Benton's head about, you know, the voice that was taunting him.
The game
is over.
Over.
Yeah, it didn't belong to anyone necessarily. Like sometimes his dad was talking to him, sometimes his mom, his brother, and then there's just this random voice that was talking about the game. The game.
That's his father.
Game. Oh, it was his father?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. No, the
So it might... Okay.
Yeah, the closest proper Doctor Who story to this one whatsoever would be the one with Amy and Rory. Amy's Choice, I think it's called.
Sophie's Choice.
No, well, this is Amy's Choice. Where they've got a guy who is forcing them to figure out which deal's reality and which deal is fantasy. And it turns out they're both fantasy, and the bad guy's just in the doctor's head and all that stuff. So that'd be the closest to this.
Yeah. All right. I think I've done processing. 4 out of 10.
All right.
That's okay. I would recommend go see it if you can, which you probably can't.
Because this was half an hour, and our podcast is now less than half an hour. We decided.
This is less than half an hour?
I think so.
We can go for half an hour. Let me check.
Maybe half an hour.
Where does it say? Does it say it in here?
Yeah.
Is this recording?
Yeah, red light's on.
Oh. I don't see a timer.
Okay. So anyway,
what were you saying?
And I'm not going to be here next week, so we're not going to have a podcast. We decided, why wait? It's stupid early. It's like 7:30 or something.
The sun's still up.
8. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and do Savalon Glitz and the Valyard today, and I'll put up the 3 episodes. First time we've ever done that. And the only other time we had a story so short was Mission to the Unknown.
Yeah.
And we didn't have any of the side stuff.
No.
So we didn't have things like Heroes and Villains to do. So we just did it.
Did we do like a movie on that night, or?
Man, I don't even remember.
Me either.
That was the first Doctor. So we're going to go ahead and do Savalon Glitz and the Valyard today. And then in 2 weeks, we'll start the 7th Doctor straight off.
So make sure to tune in 2 weeks from today for the 7th Doctor, and tune in next week for Heroes and Villains.
Well, you mean in a few minutes.
Here next week.
In a few minutes.
In different outfits.
Same shirts.
Different day.
Alright. See you later. No outro. Still need a new video processor. Da-da-bum-ba-dum-bum.
Wartime Chronicles.